We must take back the streets. It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street. That's number one. There's a consensus on that. Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes, because they literally have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity. We should focus on them now. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created. Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. They are beyond the pale, many of those people. Beyond the pale. And it's a sad commentary on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society. And the truth is, we don't very well know how to rehabilitate them at that point. That's the sad truth. I'm the guy that said, rehabilitation, when it occurs, we don't understand it and notice it. And even when we notice it and we know it occurs, we don't know why. So you cannot make rehabilitation a condition for release. That's why in our system, there's the federal system, you serve 85% of your time. It's a shame, but we don't know how to rehabilitate. But there is a consensus, and I will cease. A, we must make the streets safer. I don't care why someone is a malefactor in society. I don't care why someone is antisocial. I don't care why they become a sociopath. We have an obligation to cordon them off from the rest of society, try to help them, try to change their behavior. That's why we do in this bill. We have drug treatment and we have other treatments to try to deal with it. But they are in jail, away from my mother, your husband, our families. But we would be absolutely stupid as a society if we didn't recognize the condition that nurtured those folks still exist. And we must deal with that.
No, I just weighed the bag. It's 2.06.
2.07 without the bag.
So how long is
2.0?
That was Hunter Biden there, filming himself.
On Form 4473 and is a user of unlawful drugs, you can get between 5 to 10 years for that. Is that correct? Is that my understanding?
No, I believe Congress changed the sentence last Congress.
What is that sentence now?
Up to 15.
Up to 15 years. Why hasn't Hunter Biden been prosecuted for the crime that he committed?
I'm not aware of the facts of that case and can't comment on it.
Okay, who do we talk to see why this case is not being prosecuted? I mean, he said very clearly in his book that he used drugs, he had a gun, at least a gun.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
See, point of order.
Totally irrelevant and not germane to this proceeding.
Sir, he's got his 5 minutes. Go ahead, continue.
Not a court of law.
Okay, so I understand why you do not want Mr. Wilcox to answer that question. It's very clear why you don't want, because there's a dual system of justice in America. That's what's going on right now, and everybody's talking about it across America. There's two standards of justice that are going on.
Reporting, CNN's reporting, and the Washington Post reporting suggests that prosecutors think they have enough to charge your son Hunter for tax crimes and a false statement about a gun purchase. Personally and politically, how do you react to that?
Well, first of all, I'm proud of my son. This is a kid who got, not a kid, he's a grown man. He got hooked on, like many families have had happen, hooked on drugs. He's overcome that. He's established a new life. He is, I'm confident that he is, what he says and does are consistent with what happens. For example, he wrote a book about his problems and was straightforward about it. I'm proud of him. He came along and said, by the way, this thing about a gun, I didn't know anything about it, but turns out that when he made my application to purchase a gun, what happened was I guess you get asked, I don't guess, you get asked the question, are you on drugs, you use drugs? He said no. And he wrote about saying no in his book. So I have great confidence in my son. I love him, and he's on the straight and narrow, and he has been for a couple of years now, and I'm just so proud of him.
It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. And we have other treatments to try to deal with it, but they are in jail, away from my mother, your husband, our families.
That 1994 crime bill, it did contribute to mass incarceration in our country.
Bobby Rush, member of Congress, said the other day, I'm ashamed that I voted for the 94 crime bill. You ashamed of that bill?
Not at all. In fact, I drafted the bill, as you remember.
I know that.
Prisoners, okay? They are a necessary evil to keep the doors open, that we keep a few, or keep some out there. And that's the ones that you can work. That's the ones that can pick up trash, the work release programs. But guess what? Those are the ones that they're releasing. Releasing some good ones that we use every day to wash cars, to change oil in our cars, to cook in the kitchens, to do all that where we save money. Well, they're going to let them out. The ones that we use in our work release program, they're going to let them out. And they're saying you can take a little worse criminal. It's been long said that we were the #1 leader in the United States for incarcerating criminals in our criminal justice system. Well, let's face it, somebody got to be #1, and we got some bad dudes around here. Now, I'm as compassionate a fella as you ever going to meet if somebody deserves it, if somebody works for.
So we know why the 1994 crime bill came from. It's to continue slavery, because we know they say they abolished slavery, right? And then they have the 13th Amendment that slavery is abolished unless it is used for punishment, which they mean imprisonment. So basically, they need people to continue to be slaves. That's why that whole crime bill was propagated and pushed and made. It's an agenda. It's an agenda to cut us off from being a people, right? To lock up the majority of as many black men as you possibly could lock up, right? But this is my question. Where they getting the drugs from? Where they getting the guns from? I ain't never seen no black person, so-called black person in the hood make a gun or grow drugs. Where they getting it from? Where they getting it from? Who dropping it there in the hood? Who dropping it there in the ghetto? How they getting their hands on it? It's so crazy to me. Like, and nobody is really speaking out about this, but this is wickedness. This is who runs the earth. They figure out a way to keep the children of Israel at the bottom and as slaves, because, you know, in their mind, they think that their name and their legacy and their generation shall go on and continue forever. Then they say their houses shall continue forever. This is how they think. So they get all this free labor, because when you go into prison, they have them do all this free labor, have them do all this free work. They don't have to pay them. They treat them how they want to, give them crappy food, just mistreat them. They don't have to pay them for their labor, right? And you know, without us, America would crumble. And that's exactly why America is crumbling now, because the children of Israel are waking up. Are waking up. They want nothing more but to keep our dads, our uncles, our brothers, our cousins, our husbands in prison. In prison. They need that free labor. They need that free work. You heard what he said? He is big mad that the ones that are being released from prison are the ones that actually do their labor, that do their free work, their free labor for them. So this is wicked. And it's so funny how the tables turn. Oh, when it's your son, it's different. When it's your son, the rules don't apply. And that's exactly how it is. But at the end, the Most High, he's going to be the judge of it all. And all of this is going to play out. So this tumult to break down the family, which ultimately is to break down the so-called black family, remove the male from the house, break the woman down, break the children down, eliminate the black male. This is what they want. They want to eliminate the black male, kill them, lock them up, turn them into homosexuals, make them effeminate, break them down. You see? So this is wicked. This is another wicked tumult. But the Most High, he gonna get the last say-so about this. This is pure wickedness. You see? So we have to be wise the way that we move and the things that we do, especially in the land of our enemies. These are our enemies, and we have to wake up. We have to wake up. Yahushua, he said, I leave you in the midst of wolves. Be ye wise as serpents and harmless as doves. So we can't be falling for their tricks and their tactics that they use against us. They think that they know us so well that they can lay a booby trap and we fall right into it. No, we got to be wise. We got to be wise in the way that we move and how we respond to things and how we think things through and the decisions that we make. Right? So ultimately, as a holy people, we have to repent of our sins, return back to the Most High, and keep his law, statutes, and commandments. Shalom.